the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. Thanks for everyone being out here on this cold night. Hope you shoveled enough snow. We'll start with our roll call tonight. Everybody is present. I'd also like to, for those of you that don't know, we appointed Mr. Reggie DeWilka, who's sitting down here next to Mr. Wensley, as our new trustee filling Mary Beth's position. So we're thankful to have him here with us tonight. So everybody's present. We do have a few announcements of changing on our agenda and our tonight that's before us. So let's see. Under business items, the motion for the public hearing for the Natural Beauty Road will be postponed or canceled. We found some information out on this just this week from the Road Commission that will be putting up the public hearing themselves and advertising and doing that. But tonight, if you're here and have come prepared to have any comments about the Natural Beauty Road, feel free during public comment to address that situation. Then we also want to, on the agenda, under business items 7B2, there will be a drain assessment presented by Treasurer Commerce. And then going back up to, we just have a small presentation tonight that's over concerning our Salem Promise, that we're going to just have a few comments about that on the Salem Promise. Just under the agenda, right after we approve the agenda. Okay, all those in favor of these changes? Any additions? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So tonight, I'd like to have Mr. Curley come up. Maybe it's been a year now, year and a half, since...
Are you going to tell the story?
Well, I can tell the little story. After I became supervisor, the Curleys came in and talked to me about an exciting program that has taken place in the township, and people have donated to this special cause, and I appreciate the time and the effort that these folks have put in spurring this project, and which is beneficial to some young people in our township. Pat will have you come up and just give us a little report on what's been going on.
I think everyone can hear me good enough.
Okay?
As you know, we're going into our second year, and we'll be sending the applications out to the schools in the next couple of weeks. South Lyon High School, we really don't have any Salem residents, kids, going to South Lyon. So we'll be sending them to South Lyon East and Plymouth Salem and Huron High. If anyone is interested in knowing who the counselors are, it's Amy Bolton at South Lyon East, and it's Kimberly Villarosa at Plymouth Salem, and it's Dr. Edie Richardson at Huron High. So those are the contacts, and I'll be emailing a copy of the application to them. And also, I've arranged to have copies here at the office, so if your child is homeschooled or it's going to not going to one of those three schools, just pick up the application here. And there's no rush to file the applications because we don't review them until mid-May. So I put a May 1st deadline on the application, so no hurry. We want all the kids to complete their FAFSA form, and that's the free application for financial student aid. So. Okay, and the other thing I don't think is clear to a lot of folks. This scholarship isn't just for kids who want to go to college or to the university. If they want to become a plumber, that's fine too. Or an electrician or a carpenter. If they want to go to a boat school, that's fine. So if you have any of those kids, they're definitely eligible. So anyway, we've completed our first year, we're into our second year, and there are some things that we learned over this past traumatic year. We learned that the students need support. You take a kid right out of high school and ship them off to a college or a university, and they're lost. They don't know where to get their books, the cheapest place to get their books. They don't know some techniques for selecting professors and classes and so forth. So clearly, we need a student advisor. We assigned one to Justin for this year because we learned the hard way that he needs some guidance. So what we're looking for is volunteers to help in this regard. Well, each student, each recipient will be assigned an advisor. And this advisor will work with the applicant to help them through whatever he or she needs. We're looking for college students, preferably juniors or seniors, because they're the closest in age and they're the closest in dealing with the issues. So that's what we're looking for. They'll have to answer questions and provide other help along the way. And when an advisor is assigned to a student, they'll work with that student for the 2 years or 2.5 years of their scholarship. And the other thing is, we need technical support. Now, I'm pretty good with the computer and the internet and Excel, and I can write a nice letter and all of that stuff. But when it comes to the things that the younger kids are using, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, yeah, but that's what the kids use. I tried to set up an account for my granddaughter, and it took months because as she put it in an email to me, I'm not familiar with that platform. If it's not on their phone, you know. So anyway, that's really what I'm looking for. Someone who has skills in the social media area. I don't know exactly what we need, but I know we need it. Anyway, anyone interested in that position, just email me a brief resume and I'll take it from there. So, I'll leave some cards on the table back there. My phone numbers, email are all in there. So, things are looking up. We're in a positive position. And for just a little tickler, I hope, I applied for and received a nice grant from ITC. So, things are good. Yeah, oh yeah, and already we've had 3 applications. Inquiries. So, any questions?
So, and I'm sure you'd be glad to take donations. Anybody who wants to give to it, that's what this is about.
Absolutely,
So.
with 501c3.
And it is great to watch the student that went to college and his family, how appreciative they are. And it's kind of a nice thing to present at Flag Day this year to him. And
Yes, and that would be my plan again, Ms. Hamilton.
I'm listening, sir.
That would be my plan again. I don't know if I can get Gretchen Driscoll here again, but you never know.
right.
So.
Okay, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now for public comment. Bonnie.
Well, I have some information I want to share with all of you. I only got enough to share up there, but I'm sure you could all get copies of it. I found this when I asked for a FOIA of the policies of the fire department. And I also found that there are several lines in here that I consider against the First Amendment, against the law, and not quite up to snuff. It's legislating people's actions when they're not on duty. There's a volunteer fire department that only gets paid when they're on duty. And this one says you must act and help people all the time, on or off duty. You conduct yourselves in a manner becoming a credit to the fire department on and off duty. You can't tell a person what to do or what to think when they're off duty. And that's what these, as you see, the ones that are yellow, that's what they say. My other part is that the board of 2011 made a rule that the fire chief must be in the town offices, in his office, from 9 to noon every Monday that the building is open. And it is not, it should have been put in the fire department, fire chief's job description, and it never was. And our current fire chief doesn't come in. And that's what I wanted to share.
Okay, thank you. Linda?
Tonight I'd like to thank the board for removing the public review of the Natural Beauty Road. As the citizen representative for the Natural Beauty Road, I would like to provide all of you with a copy of the procedures, since there seems to have been some confusion as to what they are. And I would just like to reiterate some of the requirements for those who came tonight. The first requirement is that the citizen representative of the petition needs to be notified. I was the petitioner, so I need to receive notification, which I had not. The property owners all need to be notified by mail, and there needs to be 5 public places along the road that are posted. And then it needs to be published in the paper for 2 consecutive weeks, and the utility companies need to be notified. So I ask that the board follow the procedure, as Washtenaw County Road Commission has the only authority to approve or deny a natural beauty road request if we have the signatures, which we did. So I thank you for your consideration, and I'll put the rest of the procedures back in the back for whoever'd like a copy.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so we'll go into our consent agenda, and Mr. Winsley.
I move that Salem Township approve the following consent agenda items. The minutes of January 13th, regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, as well as the disbursements for January 2015, the general fund January check roster of $96,176.82. These are checks 25,144 through 25,199. We had disbursements in the escrow account for $10,842.50. Checks 1580 through 1582. We had a payroll of January of $58,353.78. through Paycor, which is the electronic funds transfer of those paychecks, of $189.92. We also had disbursements in the sewer fund of $7,638.90. These are checks 1939 and 1940. We also have invoices for February out of the general fund that will be $72,900.57. The sewer fund invoices of $6,778.75. And lastly, escrow invoices for February of $4,935. So do I have a second?
I'll second.
John Daniel seconds. Any questions? Okay. Everybody will be voting on this except Reggie because he wasn't on the abstain. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Okay. Now I have some Board of Review resolutions that need to be read, so please bear with this. The first one is to allow residents to protest in writing to the Board of Review. In order to ease the burden of the taxpayers, the assessor and the Board of Review are to ensure that all taxpayers have an equal opportunity to be heard by the Board of Review. Salem Township hereby resolves, according to the provision of MCL 211.305 of the General Property Tax Act, that the Board of Review shall receive letters of protest regarding assessments from resident taxpayers from the first Tuesday in March until it adjourns from the public hearings for which it meets to hear such protests. All notices of assessments, charge and adversements of the Board of Review meetings are to be included at a statement that the resident taxpayer may protest by letter to the Board of Review. The foregoing resolution was offered by me, Mr. Whitaker, and supported by.
Support.
I could do a roll call on this, Mr. Langston?
Yes. Converse,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
DeLuca,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Wensley, yes, and Whitaker.
Yes. Okay, and now we're down to the poverty hardship guidelines to allow residents to protest in writing to the Board of Review. In order to ease the burden of taxpayers, is this the same one? Here we go, got it right. Okay, this is the Board of Review property hardship guidelines. Whereas the adoption of the guidelines for the property exemptions is within the purview of the Salem Township Board, and whereas the homestead of persons who, in the judgment of the supervisor and the Board of Review, by reason of poverty hardship, are unable to contribute to the public charges, is eligible for exemption in whole or part from taxation under Public Act 390, 1994, MCL 211, 7U. And whereas pursuant to PA 390, 1994, Salem Township, Washtenaw County adopts the following guidelines for the supervisor and the Board of Review to implement. Now therefore being resolved that the Board of Review shall follow the above state policy and federal guidelines in granting or denying an exemption. The foregoing resolution was offered by me and supported by.
I'll support that.
Mr. Converse. Need a roll call on this.
Converse,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
DeLuca,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Wensley, yes, and Whitaker.
Yes. This is to allow the Board of Review to change the start date to Wednesday, March 11th, 2015, in order to allow more time for the county's equalization department to review the role for compliance, which is applicable state requirements. Salem Township hereby resolves, according to provision of MCL 21130, the General Property Tax Act, the Township Board may authorize by adoption of an ordinance alternative starting dates in March for the Board of Review. The following resolution was offered by me and supported by
Wensley?
okay, we need a roll call.
Yes. Converse?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
DeLuca? Yes. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
Wensley, yes, and Whitaker.
Yes. So is everybody bored now? Okay. All right, I move that Salem Township approve the following appointments to the Salem Township Land Preservation Conservation Board. Casey Kelly as an advisory member for the term ending 7/31/2016. Dan Vergary, Planning Commission member, to fill an unexpired term ending 7/31/2005. And a second on that?
I don't think you meant what you said.
2015.
You said 2005.
2015.
Carry on.
All right, yeah. Okay. Any comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we're down to, I move that Salem Township approve the following appointment to the Salem Springs Committee to replace the vacant position from past trustee Mary Beth Schmidt, effective immediately, trustee Reggie DeLuca. Second on that? Support. Any questions on this? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain, I vote
Okay. The motion's passed. Okay, we're down to now the Salem Farms, Salem Township Farm Preserve that the property, as you know, that the township had bought last year. And we also have a lease agreement to the farmer who farms it every year. And a couple things that we have been talking about and have sent out for bids of price per acre on the farm. I think we have discussed it in some previous meetings. How much, I believe 3 people had bid on that property. The highest bid for that was $126.50 per acre, and that's 146 tillable acres, which brought it up to $18,469 to lease the land this year for farming. That went to Vitesse Farms. And so the other thing that we've been talking about is demoing the property of the barn and also the house. We've been going back and forth. We also did mailings and had people bid on demoing that property. We had 3 bids that came in. I believe one was, I think we discussed that at a previous meeting. And our highest bid was $75,000. Another bid was $29,000, and also one for $25,000. So the person who has won the lease to farm it also does demo work. So we have been talking to him about what his price is, which he had bid, which was, I believe, what was his bid? Adele, $29,000?
On the farming?
No, on the demo.
Batiste was 29,000.
Right. And so what he has come back with is, we've been talking to the landfill, different people to try to figure out how we can get this done at a reasonable cost. And his offer to us now, instead of the payment of the $18,469 to demo the property, starting probably in a week or 2 weeks, and being completed by May of this year before they start farming the land, and that would be instead of paying the lease payment of the $18,469. So so that's what he would be planting the fields, farming it, and then he'd also would clean this property and do the demo work and have it cleaned up by May for the $18,469. So what I would charge the board that we present this to our legal to write up the lease this way, and I believe it's a good deal for the township. We have not made a motion on this as of yet, but we do need to make a motion to have our attorney draft this lease up. Any questions on it? The other thing we have asked, and people have asked before about, like I've walked through it, and a lot of it that is, that can be saved, and he also agreed that he would pull the beams, and some of the beams that are worth some money, so hopefully, we have talked to him about that, and they will put that aside so that we can look at what's left on the beams that have come out of that old barn to be able to sell, see what we can get for that. So, any other, no questions?
And the demo, it would all comply, would there be an inspection once he's done and completed all the
Right.
foundations, everything needs to be
Right.
pretty much itemized?
Right, and Dennis has done demo work for the township before, you know, the church and the buildings that were used for the park, so we have used him before, so. So, do you want to make a motion on this? You think we should? So I would make a motion that that we have our township attorney draft a lease agreement with the Tees Farms for the $18,469. That would include the demo. And farming for 1 year. Got a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Just as a matter of curiosity, do you plan to have someone, not the lawyer, of course, but have someone that would be an overseer of such things as what means to be saved and
Right.
such?
Yeah, I
You plan
think,
to appoint
Right.
someone who knows about
yeah,
that stuff besides the demolition? That's
yeah. I myself would like to, and anybody else from the board is more than welcome to, any of the public too that wants to be, but I would like to oversee that.
Gary,
Yep,
what about insurance and permits?
he has to apply for all that.
And bond.
Right.
And that would all be in contract, or presumably to be in contract.
Right.
Worthwhile, they just start deciding. Look at any of that.
Yeah. So this motion is to have the attorney write up this draft, and, do we have a second on it?
I did.
Okay, second, okay. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we're down to the budget amendment. That's after that. Mr. Lindsley?
In your board packet, you have the budget amendments. We had to, in the last day or so, we had to add a few more additions to our budget. amendments regarding the building inspector, the electrical inspector, and the heating inspector. So when I read these, I gave you, everybody's got a new copy of the 3 additions to the budget amendments, so just so everybody else knows. I move that Salem Township approve the following cost center budget amendments for the fiscal year 2014-15. The treasurer's deputy salaries, it was budgeted for $28,101. The new revised budget is $29,501. In the Township Hall and Office Department, the salaries for the temporary workers, the budget is $2,000. The revised budget is $5,200. In that same department, we have contracted services. The budget now is $30,000. The revised budget needs to be $32,500. In the Community Development Department, we have a drain chart of accounts. The budget is $17,500. The new revised budget, which Dale will be talking about in the next motion, is $23,285. And now the additions, the building inspector's budget is $36,000 currently. The new revised budget needs to be $42,000. The electrical inspector's budget is $10,000, and his new revised budget will be $12,000. The heating inspector's salary budget, $15,000. His new revised budget is $18,000. Do we have anyone supporting?
Yes, I'll support it.
Any other questions about this? Most of your, the community development has been from the activities that have been going on in the township, so revenue is coming in to pay these items. The town, some of you might be asking, just to make sure we're clear, Carol has been on a medical, so we've had someone in as a town. That's why that is increased. All right, any other questions on this? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we added one to the drain assessment. Okay. Tom?
Whereas the following drains will be assessed on the 2014 tax roll, the property owners in Salem Township by the Washington County Drain Commission. And whereas the state drain code, section 280.200, allows the township to pay drainage assessments from the general fund for other legal available funds. And whereas the entire township derives benefits from the control of the surface water by the county drain system. Now therefore be resolved that the Salem Township agrees to pay the township owner's share in addition to the township portion of the above drain assessment in the amount not to exceed $23,500 as a general fund distribution in lieu of placing the drain assessment on their winter tax bills 2014. The foregoing resolution is offered by me, seconded by.
I'll second it. Wensley?
Do we need a roll call on that?
Yes, all right. Converse?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
DeLuca?
Yes.
McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trent?
Yes.
Wensley, yes, and Whitaker?
Yes. Okay, moving right on. We got the clerk expenditure report that's enclosed in your packets. And so now we're down to the fire department.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. January was a very busy month, as you can see from the report. We had 45 requests for assistance. We had a number of accidents, as you can expect from the weather. We had 3 pin-ins, which the driver is trapped in the vehicle for some shape or form. One major accident on M14 where the car flipped upside down at about 70 miles an hour, hit the Napier underpass, crushed the passenger side. The driver was hanging upside down by a seat belt. We extricated the patient and they survived. So the point is, wearing seatbelts, watch your speeds on these roads, especially we're starting to get into this freeze thaw where we're getting rain, turning to ice, turning to snow, and then vice versa. So we have a number of accidents, serious accidents, but the vast majority of January's calls were medical. The times are up a little bit, as you would expect with the weather and the roads. You're not going to be able to travel as fast to an emergency. The average time to a call response from Salem Township Fire Department was 7 minutes and 12 seconds. That's the time to tone up to arrival to the doorstep. So that's still pretty good considering our weather conditions. Any questions on that? We're still asking folks to get green signs. We're still having difficulty with folks finding people's addresses. Some people like to put it on rocks, some like to put it on their door, some like to put it on a tree. And in an emergency, it's a challenge, especially when we get some of these back roads. So we're going to make an effort to kind of re-push the green signs. The cost that we charge from the township is passed through. We literally, what we cost is what we charge the residents with. So again, we encourage people, if they don't have the green sign with their addresses, come to the township. We'll make you out one, and it's, well, we even help you post it.
What is it, the cost of that?
I think it's
20
like
bucks?
50 or 20 bucks, somewhere in that, whatever the cost of the sign is. So we ask folks again, let us help you by getting some addresses out there. We met with the tanker manufacturer the first of the year. We flew out in a blizzard Sunday. Got diverted a little bit, but it was really good. We met the factory. We looked at our designs. We proofed our proposal. Everything went well. We're on schedule. They're in the process of ordering our cab, and we're working through the details. So be a little bit more engineering work that needs to come out because it's custom. We'll have a center console, and because it's custom, you get to where do you want your buttons and how do you want things. So just down to the nuance of details, but we're still on schedule. We're still probably 200 to 300 days out before we have delivery, but it takes that long. One more thing that I have before each of you trustees, I have within the budget, I have budgeted for new tires for tanker 93. Per code, they need to be replaced and they're getting worn down on their tread. They're pretty tight on the rules and regulations for tires because it's an emergency vehicle. I have 3 quotes in accordance with the township policy because it's over 2,500. I have a quote from Green Oak, quote from Wingfoot, and Bell Tire. I would recommend going with Green Oak Tire, which is the lowest bid, and recommend the $2,284.38, which allows them to come out to our site and actually change the tires where we don't have to take the truck to them. The tires are so old and cannot be used for anything else, so there is a scrapping fee in there. Sometimes we give them to the farmers, but I think that's probably the best proposal. I was hoping that the board might approve that with some type of motion or whatever's necessary to get that maybe done, hopefully. And then the last thing I have is that we're starting union negotiations. We're on track. We're meeting this week for the starting of the 2015 new contract.
Mr. Supervisor, per the recommendation of Chief Rockwell, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the quote from Green Oak Tire for the tires for tanker 903 and the cost of $4,284.38.
I'll second that.
Joe Conver seconds. Any other questions on this for the chief? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Our truck fleet seems to be getting somewhat better. We made some progress, I think, and that one, I don't know if you call it the brush truck that we got from Northville is,
We used it this morning pulling another car out of the ditch, and that winch has been very successful. It's helped a lot of residents out. The biggest hazard, as you've probably been traveling the roads, is that they're icy. You know, like this was at Curry and 5 Mile, and down that slope down there, it's basically an ice slope. You're getting trucks that, you know, one-wheel drive are slipping all the road. This truck went in the ditch. It's posing a secondary traffic hazard because it's half sticking in the road, and as people come down that road, It's a challenge to stop, so we were able to get it out of there and not have a second accident. The person was grateful because they're waiting for a tow truck, and, you know, in these days and times, it's a long wait. And it was a quick snap, we shut the road down, got the truck out of there safely, and was able to open the road back up. So it's paid for itself a couple times over already. So I'm very thankful that you were able to purchase that truck.
And when's the new truck we thinking that might be here?
So we're on schedule, they said a 270 to 300 delivery day. It's in the factory to have the truck built. So as soon as it comes out of the factory, they'll give us a definitive date, because then it's in their control. So it's at Freightliner right now getting the cab and it literally comes out with a cab and a frame, and then they build everything else on top of that. So when they get their hands and delivery from the manufacturer, then they'll be able to give us an exact date. It was kind of interesting to go out to Nebraska. The township is 300 people. When the factory's in operation, they're 1/3 of their township is increased in size. So very interesting to go out there. It's quite educational.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, do we have other reports from our county law enforcement that's been submitted? And so now we're down to board discussion. In front of you, board members, is the draft proposed of the draft for 2015, 2016 budget. Hope everybody studied these. I only have a couple comments on it. One thing that we are considering is in the building department, because of the increase in the permits and everything going on with setting up the schedules and everything, to bring that position back up to full-time. We have had some, I don't know, just with it increasing, as we can see, of all the money that's been coming in and all the payments to our inspectors of just, you know, if they're off on Fridays or half days on Thursdays, it's created a problem. So as the traffic flow is picked up, that's one considering you'll see in the budget change under the building coordinator. Any other questions? About it? I know most of you looked over it. I know some have asked some questions about it.
This, one, actually on page 15, we're underneath the general fund, the contingencies, underneath the other functions. That's up to $522,128. Is that, part of that due to the fire truck?
No, I think that goes into that gives you money to invest, I believe. This is
You
general.
didn't mention, but the revenue from the landfill has increased substantially.
Yes.
Over, you can see it over the years, and so now we're at 1.9 million is budgeted from landfill revenue. And so as that increases, that increases the general fund contingencies that you're talking about.
Mr. Supervisor, if I may, I would like to make a comment in regard to this surplus that we anticipate for this coming fiscal year. As we all know, we've invested a lot of our surplus in the last 2 years into preserving land with the Salem Township Farm Preserve purchase of 235 acres, which I think was a wise use of our resources to help preserve that acreage for our township for the future. And I'm looking forward to the Land Preservation Board working in concert with course, last year we, through the acquisition of funds over a number of years, acquired the new fire truck that Chief Rockwell updated us on. But, you know, where we might have an inclination to now kind of sit back and, you know, start enjoying the, you know, $500,000 surpluses that we saw up until the last couple of years when we started investing in the property and the fire truck. I'm concerned about the state of our roads. And we all know that on May 5th, there's an upcoming ballot proposal to increase the sales tax. And those that have been reading the paper, hearing reports on the news, you're becoming aware of the fact that this 1% sales tax increase in year one is really not going primarily to roads, but it's helping fund lots of other sausage that our legislators in Lansing have contrived, similar to what our legislators in Washington like to do, making sausage in Washington, D.C. And so whereas there's a benefit to this township if that ballot proposal passes, because we took the calculated risk that the legislators would do something over a 3-year period of time to generate additional monies for roads, where we would have monies that we invested in North Territorial 2 years ago, because the county didn't have the funds to do that. We would get reimbursed from the county at some point in time, pending new monies being generated out of Lansing. And so whereas part of me says we have a vested interest in seeing that thing pass, when you look at the big picture, there's so much junk in this proposal that I'm inclined to think that long-term it's not in our best interest to pass this thing, and that there were other proposals that were generated out of the House last year in Lansing that would have addressed roads, would have increased money for roads, and didn't get tied in with other legislative concerns that people have tie-barred into this ballot proposal on May 5th. And part of that ballot proposal that won't get a lot of wording on the ballot because they're only allowed to put 100 words on a state constitutional amendment. But there are 10 bills that were passed by the legislature last year that are conditioned on this ballot proposal being passed. Otherwise, those 10 bills go bye-bye. And those 10 bills are what are eating up most of this 1% increase in the revenue. So in year one, where we've heard numbers thrown out that this will generate $1.8 billion in income, only $300 million is actually going to go to fix roads in year one. In year two, it goes over $1 billion, and then in year three is where we see the full effect of this 1% sales tax increase, if it's adopted by the folks here in the state of Michigan. Right now, the projections are, based on what we heard at MTA a week and a half ago, that we'd be lucky to see on a May 5th election, 15% of the voters turn out to vote on the sales tax proposal. Now, I think they're guessing too low. I think there's enough interest by the voters of the state that there's going to be a much higher turnout. But I think the higher the turnout, the more likely that people will vote no, even though roads are a concern to everybody. And they're a concern to me here as a member of this Board of Trustees. And so I'm concerned that if this ballot proposal does not pass on May 5th, that we give ourselves the flexibility to go back and look at this budget proposal and invest more money in roads, especially in our gravel roads, because we kind of held off on doing that because we invested so much money in North Territorial a couple of years ago. And so, you know, I think we need to utilize those assets, not spend all of it, but I think we really have an opportunity to really make an impact on our roads. I'm looking forward to the report from the supervisor and treasurer of Congress as they're queued up to meet with the road commission in early March. And I'm hoping that with the road committee that was established last month, that we can finally see a detailed plan that will give us a long-term strategy on how we address the roads in our township, in conjunction with the road commission, They get chip sealed when necessary so that they don't get into this critical distress issue where now you're looking at a couple $100,000 to fix a mile of road when it can be maintained properly and extend the life of the road through proper maintenance. And chip sealing is the most cost-effective way to do that. I mentioned MTA. That was one of the class sessions that I attended. I walked out of there thinking I'm a road engineer now because the instructor was very concise, gave the physics of why roads deteriorate. Even a newly asphalted, overlaid road will see stress within 2 months after it's laid. It's just because of physics and the environment and the heat and the cold. And once cracks start to develop and moisture starts to get in, even a good road will start to deteriorate in year 1. And that's why it's important for us to have a strategy to look at chip sealing when these roads are still rated in a 6 or 7 category, not wait till they get to be a 4 on the scale that the road commission utilizes when they're evaluating our roads. So I just wanted to make that comment. And I'm working with the road commission, the instructor for this class that I was at in Grand Rapids, goes around the state and does free educational conferences for trustees and road commissions. And so I'm going to work with the road commission to see if we can get this individual to come to a seminar for Washtenaw County so that all of the trustees from the local townships and cities can come and hear firsthand what's involved in trying to maintain our roads, especially in light of this ballot proposal that's coming up on May 5th. So I encourage you folks to read up on the issue and please vote. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Trent, I think you're sounding like you're going to Lansing.
Yeah.
Thanks for your
If I may, I'd like to follow up a little bit on David's comments and some of the stuff that has been developed from my side, from the road committee, as well as some general thoughts that have been coming up. And as we know, last month, we passed the rezoning of the JCI property down there to a PUD. All of that stuff starts to weigh heavily on the infrastructure, and what are we going to be doing? Yes, the master plan calls for a road to go from Godfredson up to Chubb and da-da-da-da-da. We all kind of know that, has been around for a long time. But there's a bigger problem than that, and that is what kind of traffic do we want in this township? If anybody goes down and drives from 5 Mile, Napier down there, you know the amount of truck traffic that are coming in here. Quite frankly, we don't know where it's coming from. We don't know if it's coming from Ann Arbor, coming down to Beck and coming back up or not. So yeah, we may want to put in an expansion, go from Chubb on down. That may sound good, but we want all those big trucks coming up that road. We have a lot of unanswered questions, and to me, one of the biggest answers is, where are these big trucks coming from? We have traffic counts, I have them, anybody can get them from me if they want. How many cars go across which roads on a day-by-day basis? We know that. I have road counts and tell you exactly which roads they are. But it really doesn't tell us what's gonna happen when that USD gets down there, gets developed. And if what they're saying is gonna be coming in, it's gonna put a lot of extra traffic on these roads. And we need to be proactive in trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm going to be making a statement here without data. You're just another person with another opinion. So I'm going to start looking at using this committee, possibly going back out, sitting and trying to find out where these trucks are coming from, where they're going to, but we kind of know where they're going to. But we know that there's 3 other big truck usages of these roads. Phalo, Jackie's, and Iron Horse down here on Chubb Road are huge. There's like 1,500 vehicles go up and down 5 Mile between Napier and Chubb Road, and the majority of those are the big trucks. A lot of them come down 6 Mile. Those we know, but we don't know where they're coming from, and we don't know. So when we start looking at what do we do with our roads, we have to know what traffic is coming over there. There's a lot of questions that we need to be generating, and that's the kind of information I'm going to be looking at. The other thing that I have may known to some people, but I live on a gravel road. Maybe I'm speaking here from a biased opinion, but we get 3 scrapes a year. Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day. And we all know water is the bad enemy of our gravel roads. From Labor Day to Memorial Day, there is no scraping. The potholes form, they ice up, in the spring, they just continue to fester until we get the first scrape, and it's way too late. We got so many complaints last year because of the last year. I'm going to be asking at the meeting when we're going to in next month, I'm going to be asking them for a price. I'm not committing to it, but I'm going to be asking them for a price to give us 5 scrapes. I want to scrape in the early spring, when the frost comes out, no chloride, no brine, just a scrape. I want another scrape just before it freezes up, because those are the critical times when these roads go hot, and we pay the price all winter long, with all the potholes that we have to go through. There are traffic issues. There's a car that went out in the ditch out here, and you can see the potholes where they were in the ditch. That's the reason why they were going. So it's issues, and I think as a commission, as a committee here, or a board, we need to get to the bottom of this thing, and if we can have the means to do this, I'm gonna plan on doing it. And to follow up on Dave's point, there's a lot of, I got some information at the MTA from one of the people that are pushing the roads, 1%, and quite frankly, they're pushing a lot of different things. The excise tax on the tax goes away, it goes to 15.9 cents per gallon, and the sales tax off when the gasoline goes away, but then that sales tax goes back on. So the 1% is covering the school tax that the gas tax pays for now, and there's a lot of horse trading that's going on in this amendment that I think people really need to know to vote wisely when they go back and see this amendment. That's all I got for the votes.
Okay, Chalmers, anybody else? Okay, if not, we're down to public comment. Honey.
You have told me time and time again that all the information that the board gets and works on board meeting nights are all in the packet, and you have them early and a few days ahead of time so that you know what you have time to figure out what it's about, right? You've said that to me before. Okay, I would like to know why every time there is nothing from the fire department, and you guys pass money for the fire department, you pass all sorts of things for them, and I never see it in the board packet.
Okay, someone?
I had a question.
Yes.
Yeah, just, I haven't come to every meeting, I don't have time sometimes, but I did read in the paper about the development of those 240 houses on the Shostak property that the board supports. Can you just give me a little insight on that? I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, it's the you know the area,
I'm
south,
very familiar with
the
it.
south side between Napier and Goverson Road.
I live on North Territorial.
Right. The proposed, that whole area being the USD, and what they have proposed going through the planning commission up to the board to put this development in of homes in there to make it residential. So the biggest part of this, of all 4 corners of, you know, the master plan being the urban services district is about utilities. That's the $1 million question,
Right.
more or less $20 million, and how that infrastructure is going to come there. So that's where, you know, we had passed at the last board meeting an ordinance to draw them in, which they signed, to make sure that when this comes, it would be from Detroit Water, which we've been, feel that's the cheapest way, and also Yucca coming from Ypsilanti, bringing the pipe down to, going to be that $20 million bill, and who is going to pay for that? And how is it going to be, how is Salem Township and the taxpayers here going to be protected that it never falls on our backs? And that's the big risk that we need to make sure that we're protected. So, you know, there's a lot of different things people have proposed. You know, there's been malls proposed, there's been, you know, I believe that piece of property was talked about residential before, even before JCI. I think it was REI or something with a golf course and stuff like that in there. So, you know, I think all of us that live here in the township, one thing we have to really be concerned about is that, you know, however it's developed, that it's developed in a way that it's, you know, makes Salem Township, I mean, you know, that it's inviting when they exit there, that it's something that's not hodgepodge put together like you see some exits, that you hope and you pray that it's well-designed, well-planned, and that it's, you know, it's a benefit for everybody who lives here. So, you know, again, that's what's proposed. It's rezoned as residential. The next steps is this ordinance that they have a year's time to figure out how they're gonna get all these parties together, especially the big players, and they have all actually are sitting down amongst themselves, the four players that kind of them four corners, to figure out how to bring this infrastructure in at no risk to the township, and that's what we're trying to protect. But you know, it's, you know, I think a lot of people say it'd be nice just to leave it the way it is, and I think all of us know it's not going to happen. But again, it needs to be planned and done right, and that's what, you know, in so many years they've been in, the township's been in litigation, it's spent hundreds of, you know, thousands of dollars on, and, you know, nothing's happened. And so far we've stayed out of litigation, we've stayed just to have open communication, you know, and talk, and I think that's what you have to do. So, hopefully that answers some of the questions.
You did, thank you.
Okay, thanks for being here tonight. All right, anybody else? Tom?
Gary, I noticed we have a new trustee. I've never seen him before. I think I missed the last meeting. Or do we have an introduction?
I'm sorry,
of
I did
background,
introduce him in the
something?
beginning. Did I?
Oh, I was late, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My fault.
Reggie DeLuca is actually not a stranger to Salem Township. He's served on previous boards before, and also has served the planning commission.
Planning Commission, and as chairman of the Planning Commission,
Right.
and served on the board, elected as board official back in early 2000. And I chaired committees, building committee here at the Village Green, along with Fred McCurdy at the time.
But we're glad to have him on board for the next couple of years. All right, anybody else? All right, well, then we're adjourned. And thanks for everybody for coming, and